Sometimes they're harder than others. Well, that was an interesting race. You can kind of see from the video. This is a few weeks later because some stuff come up and I didn't get around to do the talking part after our little competition. But anyhow, we ran the old school 266 against the 268, which is later on version. And by looking at Acres Internet, which is a great resource, Acres like land, internet.com. And that's a great resource for looking up information on saws. And so anyhow, it was a really close race. Both of these saws have 67 cc's, closed port design. Really not a whole lot of difference. The flywheel is different on the older one than the newer one. And the older one has a two-piece ignition versus the newer ones had a one-piece. And this saw was from the more like the early 80s, somewhere between 81 and I guess they started producing this in 87. I'm not exactly sure what year they went from metal to plastic on the brake system. And there's a couple of different versions of brake assemblies for these saws, which are kind of rare as well. So we do sell parts for these on our website. And yeah, so the other thing was, you'll see in the video that I switched sides because my old trusty 266 was getting blown away, and it didn't make any sense to me because they should be fairly similar. And I sharpened both chains, so it should have been about the same. And then I realized actually that although these logs are rock maple, we call it, but hard maple that's grown up here on the mountain, so they have pretty dense growth rings on them, and it's a pretty hard wood for sure. And but then when in looking at them, like this is what I was cutting on in the video, and then this is the one that John was on, and then we switched. This one actually had a little bit of red rot to it. You can see that even though it's the same wood from the same area, and looking at it, the growth rings are very similar. This has started to have a little rot to it because these trees were storm damaged trees. This is why I give them a couple years ago. So yeah, that's the difference. So when you're racing saws, I guess you got to take that into consideration. Is give your opponent the harder log, I guess. So thanks, and please subscribe. It would help us, and we'll see you next time.